And once you let me in, please, if you can give me screen sharing rights, I
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you.
That's 6:59 on that, don't think so.
Okay.
Just 7. Don't think we're in the crowd. Sure. Crowd's in the other part of the building.
We don't usually call other people from the public.
It depends on,
Depends on the month, depends on the topics.
Sure. Okay, I got 7:12 on the phone, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Ryan, do you want to do these and such?
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Approval of the consent agenda. Your motion.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as provided.
I'll second that. Okay, moved in second, and all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Request for agenda modifications.
I have got, the number 4 under reports, the school stuff. Principal Giroux is not feeling well,
Oh, okay.
and so he won't be here this evening, so that report will not be given. I've added to my report, makeup days, given our inclement weather over the last, over the last, couple of days last week, and then I'll take on the, any questions for the alternative education programs in regard to services.
Okay.
Parking was fun, huh?
We had to park this week, market. There was literally one spot.
Okay, so that takes care of that.
Susan?
Michelle, was there any public comment?
No, not today. The Susan approval of the audit. Were we gonna take that
Oh,
off?
thank you. That was the one thing. Sorry about that. Because of the change in our meeting, when we also get to discussion and action items D, number 2, the approval of the financial audit, they're not here and they can't be here this week.
No.
So whether we did Tuesday or Thursday, they weren't gonna be able to be here. So
Postpone that.
So we're gonna postpone that to March, and then Jennifer gave everybody the written report,
Sure.
to be able to scan through and take a look at. Thank you for the reminder.
Okay. Reports, student government report.
I mean, I'm not in student government, but I mean, they had the Valentine's Spirit Week. Valentine's dance. That was 2 weeks ago. The dance was on the 8th, I believe.
Okay, so it didn't get canceled by. Okay.
No. They've been doing a lot to raise money for the polar plunge. That got postponed. That was gonna be Saturday. But got postponed to sometime in March because of snow. So they're still doing more.
Polar though, come
I know. Been doing a lot of trying to get lots of people to sign up. And doing kind of fundraiser things with that. I know they had a thing where you paid, it was like $5 to pie a teacher in the face. I think that's last week.
Were parents allowed?
Was there much money raised in that, I wonder?
on.
I don't know, I have to ask about that. But seems to be pretty successful, pretty popular among students.
I'll bet it is.
And I bet in middle school that would be, kids would be.
I've been the recipient of that.
Be lining up for that one.
Yeah. So, okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, Levi.
Association report, PEA.
I don't have a lot to report on, yeah, coming off the snow days, that's not fun. It's not fun, honestly, to have the snow days, that adds to a lot of shuffling of schedules and trying to get, curriculum, reshuffled too. We're still working with, hopefully some safety, getting some safety committees put together. Be nice and, start to look at some policies or procedures regarding that, would be great. I'm gonna keep talking about that because I know.
And I'm glad you do.
Are very, it's top on their list of things that they wanna know how that's going. And so, and then we're heading into a bargaining season here, and so we're just ready to meet on that, and we'll be sending our letter to intent here shortly, and so. Nothing up on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, this is my part, yeah.
OSCA. Okay. Parent request.
There's your time, Laura.
All right, perfect.
So Laura had requested time on our board agenda, and Rick and I had some conversation and said, yep, let's put it on the agenda and have the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, so I understand there's like two routes to here, according to Michelle. One is like a complaint, one is just a request, and I'm not here for a complaint, but,
Can we get your name?
Yeah. I was
oh,
gonna ask
sorry for your stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Hi, my name's Laura Farmer, and my son who attends Columbus Middle School, his name is Dakota Munoz Farmer. Sorry, sorry about that.
Okay, no,
So-
that's fine.
I'm not here to complain, but due to multifactorial problems in my son attempting to get his homework while sick, led me to question what the policies were. And when I reached out to the vice principal and to the office staff, they explained that the policies that they kept referring to were not actual policies. And so the policy that they had at the school, at Philomath Middle School, is that they will not gather up a student's homework until the student has been sick for 5 days. So I think that's crazy, personally. How is somebody supposed to be sick and then catch up on 5 days worth of work? So I had multiple front desk staff, not just one, and then I also spoke with the vice principal who backed up the same sentiment. And I asked each person when I came across them, is like, why is that policy there? It doesn't make sense to me. And I was told that the reason a student has to wait 5 days to get their missed work in assignments and whatever handouts and anything is if it's not available on Google Classroom, which the majority of his work has not been available on Google Classroom, is because it's an inconvenience to teachers. So as a troubleshooter and somebody who's more than willing to be flexible, I then said, okay, well, if it's like, you know, they don't have enough time and you guys are too understaffed or whatever the deal is, I can just go back and grab it. I can be here at like 3 o'clock when the school closes, and I can just, if you just tell me what rooms to go to, I can go collect that. I don't mind. My son is sick a lot. And I was told I wasn't allowed to go through the double doors to go grab homework from the teachers either. So, and before I had asked to collect his homework from this front desk or go get it myself, my son had reached out to his teachers via email, but only one teacher out of his academic classes responds consistently and reliably. Most of them don't respond at all. And a couple of them cannot give him homework digitally. He needs the handouts. So he's sick he has to wait till he's sick a week to get his work, except for one teacher out of like, what, 7 periods or whatever there is. That seems crazy to me. And then I spoke to the vice principal, Mr. Ellingson, and he also kept referring to his policy. And then I was like, why do we have that? And he said, to teach the students how to go get their own work and stuff. And they said, but that doesn't make sense if the kid is sick a lot, or if they're sick for a period of time in a row. And I couldn't get a clear answer from him. I just kept getting the runaround. So then I politely sent him an email asking him to show me where in the policies, because I couldn't find the policy in here. And he then, after many months of being told it was the policy and my kid not getting schoolwork until 5 days later, he said that there is no, it's not a policy, it's more of their unofficial policy, it's a procedure, a process, and that's what they're sticking to. And I think that's crazy. And I am proposing that you actually make a policy that a student be allowed to get their homework within like a 2-day turnaround time. Like if they request it on Monday or they're sick Monday, can they get it by Tuesday afternoon? And I don't know. I couldn't get a clear answer. I kept getting different answers. It didn't make sense logically when I posed like, well, why would you want them to be behind a week? And also, if you stalk them for turning in work a week late, why, like, in here, it says that if you turn in your work a week late, then you're automatically losing 20% of your. So why would you purposely set somebody up that even if they got 100% is now only gonna get 80%? Why would you do that? And so I propose that they be, through a policy, they have to give the children their work within a 2 days period. Or that the teachers actually have to respond to email requests. Something along those lines. There's more to it, but I don't want to bore you or complain. I'm just trying to give you the backstory onto why I'm requesting that policy.
I appreciate that. Because it should be handled at the lowest possible level, you know.
I tried with Mr. Owens
Oh,
repeatedly,
Yeah,
and I had to back him into an email.
yeah, I understand
And
that.
I can bring the emails if you want.
No, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that, you know, that's kind of the standard policy procedure is at the lowest possible level, try to, you know, make it fix itself. And if it doesn't, then it kind of escalates up. It sounds like this has escalated up to where you want to come to the board and make us aware of what's going on. So that we can maybe talk to the superintendent and she can talk to the middle school and see if they can't work something out to.
Well,
Because the board doesn't make school policies.
Oh.
We make general district policies.
so I would love it if you could make it a district one, because here's where I'm coming from, like, so my kid has an IEP. He's sick a lot. There's more stuff that I'm not gonna bore you with. But now they are giving him work in a reasonable time frame, which is cool. But we are over halfway into the school year before, like, that's crazy, especially considering how sick he is. So, but my concern is that all the other parents at Philomath Middle School, and maybe this is a problem at the grade school or the high school, I don't know. But I mean, if you have consistently like 20% of the teachers or 15% of the teachers responding consistently by email for requests for homework, like that might be a bigger problem than just Philomath Middle School. Like it might behoove you guys as a board to have a district policy saying, hey, the kids need homework within like 2 days. Because I have a feeling that I am not the only parent who's had this problem for their kid.
Well, we do set policy for the district, not for each individual school. But I think the way we're gonna handle this is direct the superintendent to find out what's going on and see if it can be handled at that level. And also possibly check in and see if it's a problem at the elementary or the high school, if they're having the same problem.
How would you know though if the parent complaining isn't coming to you? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, if there's any concern at the district, at the building level, the building administrators will find out about it.
Yeah, the administrators should know what's going on in their building. And if they're having a problem like that, then they
They
should.
told me it wasn't a problem repeatedly.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
So I've looked back through some of the information. There is, an Oregon revised statute about student attendance and student attendance and makeup work. But what it really addresses is, the ability to complete work and make it up in a reasonable amount of time. It's silent at that level when it's talking about when can I request homework be given? So,
I did talk to Odie, there is no law governing that.
right.
You could literally not give a student homework for 2 weeks and you'd be in compliance.
So we have a policy on homework. Or excuse me, that's their handbook. I've got the wrong document here.
I got the handbook, if you want.
Oh. So student absences and excuses, that takes a look at it. It is parents' responsibility to ensure their child is maintaining regular attendance. It goes through and does some things with that. So it's JED. We also have a policy about handbooks. And I don't have the reference. It's sitting on my desk, probably with where my flash drive was when Jennifer so conveniently brought it. That talks about the approval of school handbooks to ensure that they align with policy. The handbook at the middle school.
I mean, I got the pages earmarked that relate to that if you want it.
Yeah, and the middle school's information. Oh. It talks about makeup work and a homework request. So it says parents can contact teachers at any time regarding current assignments or missing work. On the third day of excused absences, parents may request a list of assignments through the office.
Okay.
So I need to investigate 3 days versus 5 days.
So there were multiple 5-day events. There were some times at 3 days I was able to get it, depending on the staff that I talked to.
Cool. And then it says, on the third day of excused absences, parents may request a list of assignments through the office. Requests must be made before 10 a.m. and can be picked up after school. In conversations with the middle school, I know that, and that's where we need to go back, and I suggest we take it to the policy committee to be able to take a look at our policy around the attendance and work, and that we also take a look at our policy about handbooks and make sure that we're in line there. The other piece that I know is there have been, it sounds like in this case, there has been now, and it's halfway through the year, I not disowning that in any way, shape, or form.
They're on it now.
That
But I
they
had to
are,
raise hell.
right, that they're on it now.
I had to raise hell in documentation form so I could keep bringing them back.
Right, and so that's where we kind of want to get into those to make sure that we don't need to, we do or we don't need to maneuver some things around. That would be my suggestion, is we just send these back to the policy committee.
No, that's fine.
I was also never offered to have them send any messages back to the teachers. So not only was I not allowed to stop by and try to grab the work, I was not offered messages to be sent back. And I was never given their emails, like literally no way to contact. So my kids emailing and not getting responses. I'm not been given their contact information, nothing. Michelle was nice enough to tell me that, because when I went on the website to try to look them up that way, I had a problem. I think it was actually my phone glitching because it would only load the first couple pages, like the A's and the B's for the last names of the teachers and staff. And so she said that they were all there. I just thought that the website had never finished being developed because my phone kept glitching. But she had said that if I had went to the Philomath Middle School, requested the handout or printout of my kids' teachers, that I could then specifically write in their last names and find their contact info that way, but I don't know why that needs to be so crazy hard.
So,
You can also find it on the parent portal, just so you know.
Thank you. I
the
didn't
parent
know.
view.
Yeah, the parent view, like if you log in to look at your
Yeah, like
kiddos'
where
grades.
the calendar is and stuff, or where it's the account.
In the account, and they're like,
Yeah, so he had emailed them and they didn't respond back. So is there phone numbers or another way to contact them?
their email addresses are.
They weren't responding to his emails. He showed me multiple emails. And then I just stopped checking because I believed him at that point.
Yeah, and we'll certainly go back and take a look at it and forward it with the policy committee to be able to make sure we've got bases covered. In terms of being able to take a look at. We also know that there are sometimes nuances where if I'm gonna be addressing something in a class across 3 days, I may not have homework on a day, but I may the following day,
Yeah,
or I may contrive something different. So we just want to make sure that the stars align.
okay. I appreciate you guys hearing me. I don't, hopefully you can fix this mess and hopefully, I mean, in my dream world, you make a policy around it to make sure that the bases are covered because I do not think I am the only parent. They were very confident in denying homework for 5 days at a stretch. No matter how I questioned, no matter how I offered and asked to get alternate ways with the work. And I even told them that the teachers weren't responding by email. So it wasn't like I didn't communicate with them. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very much.
Appreciate it.
So that was what we took out.
Yeah. Superintendent's report.
And I've got a couple of ads to it, like I talked about. Knew that one was gonna come pretty fast. I did some updates, to what I had sent out or what was in the packet, and I'll get to those because they're minimal. Wanted to remind the board of our February 3rd through 7th was a National School Counseling Week. So it was the opportunity to recognize the counselors at all of our schools. Excuse me, and to varying degrees, different people were recognized, which is a great gift. The board approved in January our academic calendar for 25-26, and our group met last week to be able to enter into the discussion about the calendar for 26-27. So we now have a second draft of that calendar put out to the calendar committee with a couple of specific questions for them to ask staffs at their schools. This particular calendar, because of when Labor Day falls, has a pre-Labor Day start for students. And then there were some specific questions that we gave back to the committee members to be able to ask of their schools. And we have another meeting set up of that committee to then be able to take a next step. But the goal is to have no later than the end of this school year, also a 26-27 calendar adopted. And next year we will look at 27-28. So we're always in a 2-year out to be able to take a look at where we go. We did hear, excuse me, that we don't want to set precedent of before or after Labor Day all the time. That it kind of really depends on where Labor Day falls and what it does in terms of how the calendar presents. Because we did have a stretch of time when we moved before Labor Day and we stayed there for a very long period of time. And so we're trying to be real thoughtful with that as well. So stay tuned, that'll come back. I put in the Oregon Exclusion Day, which is tomorrow. And if you're not familiar with Exclusion Day, this is the day when it's designated in Oregon when students who are not up to date on their immunizations or there have not been appropriate exemptions filed, they are excluded from school until that is taken care of. We know, or at least last week I knew we had a handful, and that's all we typically have, fortunately, is a handful that our nurses continue to work with to be able to make that happen. And in my years, we've never had students out for extended periods of time as a result of this. But just if you hear, that's what Exclusion Day is. And that's what they look forward to. So our nurses have been sending out notifications and continue to do that to be able to work with folks to be in compliance.
It's an Oregon list of required vaccination, so this is not a national thing.
No, it's the immunizations required in Oregon. And there either has to be proof of the immunization or appropriate exemption.
Exemptions.
And so it doesn't necessarily mean that a student needs to get a shot. But it means that we have to have validation somewhere that all the protocols are in line. Put out Clemens Community Pool. Pretty darn busy.
Sure.
Osborne continues to be closed. They are going to open up their outdoor facilities here soon. And we'll leave those open probably for the next 6 months. And but there will be nothing inside, or it will be very limited if they do anything inside. So to keep pace with the additional costs, the pool is looking at slightly increasing rental rates for birthday parties and summer camps and private things. And so Jennifer and I looked at that and said, yep, let's do it. So that's out on the docket. And our pool director has done an awesome job to be able to clear up and stay on top of what the funding mechanisms are for the pool. So it's really been great. The Corvallis City Council has the structural engineering report out for Osborne. And there's a community meeting in Corvallis on March 10th to discuss the different options. My hope is that I'll be able to attend that and be able to kind of hear what's been going on. Corvallis High School has been thrilled that they've been able to be here. So that's nice.
Okay, I have one question back up to the paragraph above that.
Yeah,
Keep pace with additional costs, raising the rental rates, you know, such as the birthday parties, summer camps, and other private rentals. Is that the additional cost coming from that, or are they just bearing the brunt of the increase for the other use of the pool? You know, the cost in having more use of the pool, and are these people having to shoulder that?
no, we made sure that the look was really about these particular instances where there has to be more staff. Excuse me, that's where the losses come from. But there was no indication at this point in time that we needed to raise general lap swim fees or anything else like that. So I've asked her to keep track of consistently, where are we breaking even, where are we gaining, and or where are we losing in terms of pool funding, because we don't want to get us to a place where the district has to shoulder even more of a burden for the swimming pool
Well, yeah,
by increased use.
yeah, I don't want to do that, but I guess what my question is then is, you know, they've had these birthday parties, summer camps, and other private rentals in the past, and I'm assuming they know what they cost before. So why are they getting hit now when we're getting more use out of it? You know, it's just to keep pace with additional costs. I'm assuming, and maybe wrong, that the additional costs are for more treatment of the water because it's getting used more, that type of thing.
It's really more about the staffing. When somebody rents, or when there are summer camps or private rentals, we've got to have extra staff there, and there are more rentals happening now that we've got increased use. And I think she raised it. I can't remember.
And those rates for the rentals hadn't been raised for a few years.
I see that, yeah.
I think she raised the
So-
use rate,
So,
So a lot of these rentals of birthday parties, summer camps, and private rentals are coming from what used to be at Osborne
some of
over
them.
here then.
It
Some
could
of
be,
them.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I would imagine that the wages have also increased.
Yeah.
So what?
The wages for the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're trying to watch that close. Good questions. I put in the career fair at OSU Tuesday, March 4th. And this will be all our junior students. that will be participating. I asked the question, I said, will this be select groups or will it be everybody? And they said, we are doing our best to encourage every student in the district to go. So that's Philomath Academy and Philomath High School.
That used to be every year, but I'm sure have been gaps because of COVID and whatever else, but
I think they do it, I think they're back to an every year,
yeah, okay.
to be able to do that.
Still LaSalle Stewart Center, is that where they do it?
I believe so.
That's where they did it the last time I did it.
Yeah, I believe
Last minute.
it's a every year thing, cause I'm a junior, so I'm gonna, I guess that's next week.
Yeah,
Either at
But-
LaSalle or the alumni center.
Yeah, we've been at 27 years.
There's been so much building and changes in facilities and everything else.
I did it as a career person 6 or 7 years ago, career person, but.
Yeah,
You know what I
all
mean?
years.
Thank you, like 6 or 7 years ago, and I do think it was in LaSalle. I can't-
Yeah, and I think I think it still is in LaSalle's.
Yeah.
They've tried to move a lot of performances from LaSalle to the new Prax place. Anyway, so I think that's where it's at, but it's coming up. Cell phones in schools, we wanted to get something out that we can share with students and staff and families. So this was our first shot to be able to say, let's put something forward that says we paid attention to your input and here's where we are. So I will just read it so that the people can hear for those streaming. Following compilation and review of survey data, the Philomath School District is restricting the use of personal electronic devices during all class time from bell to bell, with some exceptions. Cell phones and other mobile devices brought into classrooms, including smartphones, flip phones, tablets, e-readers, smartwatches, smart glasses, and any other personal web-capable device, and the headphones and or earbuds connected to these devices are to be put away. Exceptions include the following: at teacher discretion, when a full class activity requires or encourages use. So we're given the teacher discretion when those things happen. When indicated by an IEP or a 504 plan for a student, when required for monitoring of personal medical condition. At this time, personal electronic devices may remain in student possession, such as a pocket or purse or backpack. And devices can be used during non-class time by our secondary students, grades 6 through 12. Not at the elementary schools. And then during the remaining months of this school year, policies will be reviewed and updated. This will include information specific to student handbooks at each school. And we will also include information about similarities and differences between elementary and secondary student populations. So it gives us the remainder of this spring to be able to hear the voices of what are we missing? Or where did we nail it? But we've got teachers who are wanting the district voice and families and students that want the district voice. And so this is the voice. So that's where that comes from.
I have one
Yeah.
small question. I know it starts off saying cell phones and other mobile devices, but it also says and any other personal web capable device. We might want to say excluding laptops, but I don't know if we do want to say excluding laptops.
Well, and that could be that we'll end up changing because the Chromebooks are the things that we want to allow in the classrooms.
Okay.
You know, because the Chromebooks fit the filtering for district content and things like that. And so that would be a place that we're saying we encourage the use of the Chromebooks. That's what we're gonna have. And see, that's what I'll look to you, Levi and Maggie, to be able to be my ears.
I had another question also.
Yeah.
What's your enforcement plan? Are you leaving that up to an administrator or teacher level? Or do you all have a plan?
That's what we're working through.
Enforcing that?
Because right now, let me tell you, there are differences across schools. But we have talked about, teachers are very tired of being able to, I'd rather say hello to my student than say, put away your phone, put away your phone, put away your phone. And so we have the administrator saying, if, you know, teacher can reach out to parent, but then it can come to the office and administrator can call parent. I won't lie, we don't have a level of consistency at this point across. But I also know and have heard very loud and clear, the teachers don't want. They don't want to be the ones that have to be the voice and the bad guy all the time. They want an administrator to be supportive of what they need to be able to make their classroom function. And so that's the details we're getting to.
Yeah, cause I've just, in the last couple months, when y'all have been talking about this, I've experienced a lot of confusion from my peers
I
about
bet.
what is the policy? Oh, have they passed the policy? Who's enforcing it? And even among teachers, there's
Yeah.
such a wide inconsistency.
Right, and that's why I pushed to be able to say, we've got to have something out. Because if we wait, right now, my feeling was if we wait too long and don't get anything out in any way, shape or form, we've got parents and students and teachers who are going, well, they didn't listen to us anyway. So why did I bother being able to give my input? And so it was like, we've got to get something out there, and then we've got to continue to streamline, to keep our act together. And so, this was the start. I said, folks, we can't wait. We gotta get something out. But that's where we're looking for too, the input. So if I'm hearing from something from students, or if I'm hearing from staff that are saying nothing's different, or, you know, anything else like that, then that certainly plays into, as we keep moving.
I can kind of picture. Like I'm
Great
hearing
question.
Mr. Bell reminding people in the morning announcement, to put their phones away, or,
Yeah.
you know, and just as. It almost becomes like muscle memory or by rote, if they keep hearing it, then putting their phones away first thing in the morning. Because attendance is being taken or whatever.
If you threw flip phone in there for my kid, he has a smartphone.
Okay. That's all right. We'll
I have
take it.
one question.
Yeah.
What are smart glasses?
Oh,
Literally, they're glasses that are electronic and they have, you can actually see a screen on the inside of your lenses.
Since you
Google
never web,
Glasses.
web walk into stuff.
It's like when I look at my fancy electronic watch, my
Yeah.
Apple Watch, it would be like that, but on the inside of my
Well, and you
glass.
can
I
take
can touch
pictures
and
with
say,
it,
oh, yeah.
which is, they're kind of a problem
Oh, that's why.
for safety perspectives, especially at a place that has changing.
They are
facilities and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
bathrooms.
Oh.
I wouldn't want them. I think it just is. But
Jeez.
who knows?
All right, well,
They do-
thank you. I hadn't
They
heard.
do have very important accessibility uses, which I do think is
Hmm.
for deaf or hard of hearing
Oh,
people, they
really?
can
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
put the transcription of what's being said on the
Yeah, yeah.
lenses. That's beautiful. Many of the other uses are terrifying,
When will they send it?
like all of technology, beautiful and terrifying.
Mhm.
I wanted to bring this back to, well, actually, no, it's later in the agenda. Never mind, no, no. It's in two places.
Paragraph.
Yeah, I want to get to that. I was gonna give you the other piece of it first and, okay. Makeup days. So I have a proposal for our makeup days. So for just the history, for 24-25, the district placed 2 school days in the calendar to use as might be needed for inclement weather. Those were February 17th and May 23rd. An email was sent to families on February 11th that said, if we have a snow day on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this week, we will use the February 17th makeup day. If it happens on Thursday or Friday, we won't. And a part of that really was predicated on changing courses quickly as possible with families who had plans. Real honestly, the amount of illness that we've had in the
Yeah.
schools and just wanting to give people a break. And the other part of that was, or has been, we also began to hear of a number of staff who made appointments for that day and were going to be or had already requested substitutes. And so then we have a glut of nobody to be able to teach kids. And that's an exaggeration. It wasn't as huge as that. But the biggest one was the contractor working on 19th Street was going to start working on the access road for Clemens Primary School. And they need to get that done, and we wanted them to get pieces of that done at a time when we didn't have families and kids going in and out of there. And so that was the rationale for being able to say, we're not gonna use yesterday. So what that does is that gives us the May 23rd date, which is the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. And the proposal is that we use Friday, May 23rd as a makeup day with students and staff attending. Change the Thursday, June 12th, which was the last day of school noted on the calendar for students, to a full day. And make the last day of school Friday, June 13th. That would be the regular half-day end of the school year day. That would make up the 2 days that we missed. What it would do is it would push the last workday for licensed staff to Monday, June 16th. But it doesn't keep students into that next week. If we have any additional inclement weather issues or times, then this all changes in terms of where we go. But that's the recommendation that I wanted to put forward and suggest.
How does this go with the contract with PEA?
It's fitting. It's not
That's
light.
the first time I've heard of it, so I don't know. I'm gonna freely give my opinion
Please.
here. It's unfortunate that staff wasn't asked to work on Monday. They had it in their calendar all along. We've known all year long that it was a makeup day. If there's snow, we worked. And so the idea that staff, some of them had plans, that wouldn't have mattered. It might have been less than maybe 3. I'm just guessing. Compared to the number of staff you're going to have not be available on that Monday in June that you're asking, you're gonna see a lot of staff gone. Because they know already that was a day that they have as vacation, so they did book their vacation plans. As a staff member, I know that makeup day is a day that I need to be prepared to work. And having us come in this last Monday would have been ideal. We needed, there's stuff we needed to do. We missed 2 days of school. We needed that time. It would have been perfect day to have staff report. And that's unfortunate. It didn't happen.
To have staff report, but not students?
Yeah, this last Monday.
And see, that's the other piece of it. These are student makeup days.
Yeah, but you're asking staff to come back in that next Monday after that break. And I think that number of staff that will not be here. So they'll either have to give up their personal time or cancel their plans, and I think that's a huge request for them to.
Right,
ask
and
them
there,
to do.
we had the
That's my
conversation,
opinion.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, Susan.
We had the conversation this morning with our administrators that said those days have been listed on the calendar in June as potential makeup days. And how did we want to work these things out? Because the last time this happened, we had some administrators who said, I'll come in on a Saturday or something like that to be able to make that work. To be able to do that, but the key is making sure that we've got enough student instructional minutes, so to bring the staff in on that day.
And
Could have been a
you're really
possibility.
sure. I've not done the math because like I said, this is the
Yeah.
first time of needing. I mean, from what I've understood is that we've always had more than enough student hours. That having them gone 2 days is not impacting their student hours, but I've not done the math on that. I just think that it's a big ask when there was an opportunity. It's unfortunate that opportunity has passed, but still, I'm also a person that, you're talking to a salary employee that's now being asked to monitor hours on an hourly wage. I just feel there's some conflicting messages with that. But it's what the board wants to do, so.
And I'll explore that comment with you later, just an hourly.
I know, we've had
Where
the
that comes from.
conversations
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, some years we've done a thing where staff could say, well, I did these extra hours on these days, so then, and then if they could get ready to check out on that Friday afternoon, then they wouldn't have to come in on the Monday or something.
Did last year, we had the same thing and wasn't there enough hours that we as a board
The board, the state gave us 2 days.
Okay, yeah.
And we could waive those out, and the board said, we're not gonna make those up at all, and so those were gives that the staff didn't have to come back and make those days up.
Yeah, but.
So we didn't ask staff or students.
The state.
The state gave us that part of it, but
No, I was just asking. Cause I wanted to make sure it was
I
okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
But
So-
like I said, I have not done the math, and so as far as student hours, I always was under the assumption from previous years that we always are pretty good at making sure that we have enough student hours to account for something like this. But
Yeah.
it's,
well. Yeah, I'm gonna look at things from my perspective and see what I can come up with and talk with Susan and see if there's something that we can come up with it, maybe a little bit different than this, but close to it, so.
I appreciate
Yeah,
Yeah, and we also have to take into consideration, I would think, in that our other classification groups, so our classified, our supervisory and unrepresented, and our administrators. Some of those people don't have any more calendar, any more days in their calendar because their calendars are longer than the licensed staff, where they don't have days they can make up.
Yeah.
And so they've got to take them as leave. And so want to be somewhat consistent to be able to say, how does this play across all classifications of employees?
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I'm willing and want to look into it, but I'm just saying, I think we need to also look at the other classifications of employees.
yeah,
that we
no,
have.
that's fine, I
Yeah.
guess I kind of opened a can of worm with that question.
No, that's okay.
one comment, just a thought. Those last 2 days, the Thursday and the Friday, what would happen if they were both half days? And then the afternoons were for staff grading, recording. whatever.
I think we can look at anything.
Okay, just a thought.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
okay,
stay tuned.
Yep.
And then the last piece I wanted to bring back, because I know we've had some concern, great concern. And there were a couple of things that came to me in a memo from our National Superintendents Association that I wanted to be able to put in front of us as kind of reminders, because I know we've got people that are wanting to jump to reactionary stuff instead of let's be reasoned. And so the 3 statements in that letter at the very beginning, the first one says executive orders do not create new laws, change existing ones, or provide legally binding rules for schools. Instead, they direct federal agencies on how the president wants them to enforce current laws. We're watching the enforcement, but we're not in a place where we're saying executive orders cause us to immediately upset the apple cart and do things differently. That it's about pausing and taking a deep breath. I think we've done, E-rate is gonna be one that right now has been, it's on the chopping block, and I think the funds are, I don't know if they're still held or not, but we're looking into that. We've had some great work with, supporting, undocumented, but we're also finding that we have some documented individuals that are fearful of what may happen to them at the same time. So we've got that. The other thing that I know some people are concerned about is the LGBTQ. The executive order says one thing, but we've been told to do this, and it's kind of like where we are right now is the executive orders don't create a new law. Without action from Congress or the courts, many of the executive orders cannot directly change legal requirements for school districts. And schools do not need to immediately alter their policies or practices based on executive orders alone. And so it's really about taking that to say, unless I'm directed otherwise, it's how do we be reasoned and not reactionary. And support our folks. For me, we have children that come to our schools to learn. And we don't ask, are you documented or not? We don't ask about your gender preference or status. And so it's not information we have in a student record that we can give to anyone. And so, given that, let's kind of slow the roll a little bit, to be able to be thoughtful and support our kids. And so I wanted to share these with you, but I also wanted to let you know that my stance is we've got students in our community that we need to educate, and we've got staff that are darn good at it. And that's what we want is student success for those students that come across our doorway.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
What does AASA stand for?
It's the American the American Alliance of Superintendents in America,
Oh.
something like that.
Americans and their
Just curious, I had never seen it before
Yeah.
and I didn't know what it meant, so.
Yeah,
Jennifer, a question for you, and this probably isn't relevant in this school, but a school that had a high number of undocumented students. Could they not get the funding for those students?
If their enrollment didn't count when the ADM reports were submitted, if they were dropped from the school rolls, then yes. If it would affect the ultimate ADM outcome. Mhm.
if they were dropped out.
Yeah, if they were dropped out, but as a student, since we don't gather that information, we wouldn't know, we wouldn't.
And that was
report it
more of a
individually.
general
Yeah.
question, yeah, so I'm thinking of a school that in, let's say, Southern California, where they might have a whole lot more undocumented, they potentially run a risk of their enrollment numbers dropping a lot, but not that the state would look and say, well, this X number of people don't qualify, but they were in your school.
Yeah, it would
That
only
was
just
kind of
be
thing.
based on the report that the schools turn in.
We could, however, see a drop in enrollment if parents are afraid to send their children to school.
Yeah, that could,
And they are, I think, in Woodburn, they're seeing that happen already. That is a community that is very heavily populated by migrant workers, undocumented people. And I do think they're already seeing enrollment drop off. I know healthcare centers, people are afraid to go to the doctor for the same reason, so they're seeing a lot of drop off in different areas.
I think I may have mentioned it in January, the Eugene School District had a family preparedness document. And bless our staff for turning it into a Benton County specific document from Lane County. It's in English and Spanish, and they are doing the sharing with some of our families. We've also put it into the faith-based community across Philomath, because that's another place where people will go. And so bless Eugene for being able to put that out for anybody that wanted it, and for our staff for being able to put that into Benton County language. And it's quite powerful that one of the things that they suggest is that you do it for your own child, just to see what it entails, because it's about where's our meeting place if we get split up? Who can I go to? Who is the person that can be declared to be my guardian? Do we have an extra set of house keys? Do we have an extra set of car? I mean, just is amazing that when you look through it, it's like, wow, there's just a lot of stuff to consider. We also had 2 of our staff members go to Eugene to participate in the training to become legal notaries.
Okay.
And so we should have, I think the training was, if it was last week, we might be in trouble, but we will have 2 of our staff members that will be legal notaries that can be able to help out for a lot of purposes, but this was another one also.
Is that?
Yep.
We'll move on to the financial report, Jennifer.
Well, our biggest piece that was supposed to be tonight was the audit presentation, but the auditors couldn't make it with the reschedule, so they will be here next month to do the formal presentation. I gave you all the paper board report document. That doesn't include all of the financial statements, but the full audit report is online on the website. You can see it there. 100 pages to print out. You guys probably don't need all of that in paper. Some other updates, we haven't gotten a new state school fund estimate yet. They haven't recalculated and shared that with us for current year. I assume we'll get that around the same time we get the estimate for next year. I'm still estimating that it will be a little bit lower than what we had in our budget. But it does depend on what it looks like around the state. So the good enrollment is less all around the state. The pie pieces get bigger, so we'll just have to wait and see. Like Susan said, we were just at the winter conference that included superintendents and business officials from around the state, and I really didn't get a feel for anything from ODE about what to expect in the new state school fund estimate. They just said to wait and see, pretty much. We learned a lot at that conference, though. There was budgeting, relationships, communication, all sorts of interesting information. It was good to go make connections and hear that amongst all the leaders in the state. It's good information. I'm glad we got to go just in time for the weather.
Yes.
And there's a few things to pay attention to this year in the appropriations page. I gave you one in particular is the pool. We talked about the increased usage, and when we appropriate the funding for the pool, we've done it on its own separate line. And because of the increased usage and increased expenditures, we may outpace our appropriations before the end of the year. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. And we may have to do a supplemental or a resolution to appropriate more funds. I've already talked to the auditors about that, and they'll make sure we do it right. That one and the food service fund, we have to watch because of CEP. We're bringing in more revenue and spending more on that program. So that could be another area where we have to make some budget changes. And
Well, I'm sure that you'll do a good job of keeping track of that.
I'm trying. Yeah, those appropriation sheets that you see and the cash flow, I've been trying to keep up on those as best we can, just to keep everything transparent. I know we've heard stories from other districts where they've seen some troubles, and we don't want to be in that boat.
Yeah, well, I think that that's one place that Philomath has excelled so far as financial stuff compared to some of the other districts around the state that are scrambling to try to make up millions of dollars of debt.
Yes, we'll stay on the plus side.
Yeah.
I was looking at
Thank you.
enrollment totals after last meeting, we talked about enrollment down, I was adding up to the next 5 years graduating compared to the 5 years coming on. And it is quite a significant drop, is this the first time you've seen, or is it a cycle that does this a lot? I was surprised that like the kindergarten class was like, what, 83 or something, and the graduating was 114, but I did the numbers of each year, and over the next 5 years, yeah, there's significantly more leaving than coming.
We do always see a bit of an increase at 6th grade and at 9th grade. It's a general trend for us. Kids come in from out the other regions. And so those class sizes you see of the lower grades
Usually.
generally tend to
Okay.
increase as they get up into the higher grades, but we're still seeing a decline across the
Families have to
state.
move. If they have the opportunity to, they usually try to choose to move to a new school district at a logical breaking point, like at 9th grade or like 6th grade or whatever. Then obviously, jobs don't always work out that nicely, but yeah.
But I have been working that trend into our enrollment projections. And it still looks like it's going to be down as it is across the state everywhere.
It's surprising me because over the last 5 years, all the new building and houses coming in, it's kind of shocking to see the numbers.
I don't want to kids though.
Yeah, but just the amount of new houses in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because those kids should be hitting kindergarten. And unless there's a huge jump next year, just as surprising with all the new population. Yeah.
We're just gonna see that for 3 to 4 years. So those those COVID years of people not wanting to spend time at the hospital with a new baby. So a lot of people didn't have kids or waited a little bit more, so. We've talked about that before, though.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it was, but I think it was early teens that we had a drop in the number of students.
Yeah, it would have been like, what, 2013 probably, because it was the 2008 recession.
Somewhere back in there, because
I guess.
we took a pretty good hit on the numbers because it was a substantial amount that we had to keep going back to the year previous to finance everything and.
4 years, let me jump, there's a week of ice last year. We'll feel
Yeah, so, but it does seem to kind of cycle, ebb and flow with that part of it. Okay,
That's it, unless you have questions.
I'm good. Anybody else got any more? Strategy and discussion, strategic planning.
Yeah, we talked about this in our work session time and wanted to be able to share it in our public meeting of the beginning of our work in earnest, to be able to look at strategic planning, and that we have engaged the Oregon School Boards Association to work with us on the completion of that process. And so they will be beside us to guide us along the way. And we'll have the agenda pieces set out. The district leadership team will consist of the board and some key district players. And we'll figure out who that is and what that needs to be and from what areas we look at. But it's going to involve a lot of information gathering from staff, from families, from students, things like that. So we'll learn more. And we talked about the proposed kickoff date. Vince Adams from OSBA will be with us for the project orientation at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, March 5th. And we will see if we can get our hands on this room. To make sure.
That's kind of time
Yep.
also. What is it?
Yeah.
Different day of the week, yes.
Probably,
I'll
Yeah.
send this to you, Levi.
Okay.
And so, wanted to put that forward, to be able to, put into the public view what we're doing and how we're moving forward based on the board's requests and the conversations we've had in months prior.
Okay, good. We're right along, discussion action items, approval of the alternative education program.
Yep.
Now, this is something we do annually.
This is something you do annually, and so the report that you see in your packet is nothing new. It's just a part of protocol that we look at doing every year to be listed and set up as an alternative program. And if I remember correctly from my conversation with Garth today, nothing has changed other than dates and some things like that, but the general information remains the same.
I didn't see anything in here that,
See, I'm trying to remember from last year, I thought we had like 1 or 2 NAs last year. We didn't have any not in compliance. Didn't we have an NA or 2, or did that, am I thinking of something else?
I have to go back and take a look.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But it's, we know that that's an area right now, especially at high school and middle school with, an increase in population at the Fulham Academy. Right now, if they're taking in new students, they're pretty much having to have them come in the afternoons
Sure.
because the morning is just jammed in that classroom.
Is this a self-graded assessment? As far as. In
It is,
compliance?
yeah.
And they didn't give themselves a single exemplary. They just said they were in compliance with all. Gotta work on that.
You didn't even have to keep that level up for future years. If you went back to the compliant, then you look at that.
No, I think this looks good. There's one blank spot on it, at least in my view on my phone, and perhaps that's just a technology thing.
Private alternative program?
Yeah, I think it needs an NA in there because it's not a private alternative program, right?
Yep,
That
you are
That would be
correct.
the only
that
thing.
might have been
Okay.
what I was thinking. of.
Okay. You are correct.
And there's another one that's private alternative wait, each public or private alternative program, whichever is less or. Oh, no, is that still part of the previous one from page
Yeah.
3?
It's the continuation.
Oh, it's
from the previous page, Yeah,
So it's just that one.
Okay.
yeah, that was the only thing I
All right,
had
I'll
noted.
make that adjustment. Thank you for pointing that out.
Number 2, the approval of the financial
Okay,
audit.
I think we
have a
need
motion
to,
approve it.
Oh,
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that.
okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
And the audit is in March.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what just all I was gonna say is that it's gonna be moved back to March. Meeting closure. Is there any board thanks?
I'll just defer to you. Thanking everyone. I just love being in this district. Just so many good people, so much good work being done.
Yeah. And, you know, with the inclement weather last week and everybody having to do things that they're probably not used to, that was a huge thing to make everything kind of meld together. I had a couple other things. The rally squad at the Nationals, they did extremely well. Third? Fourth, okay. And then they were also fourth at state. This last weekend. I'll hand it to Newport, since they are in our league. Newport was first at Nationals, and they also the state champs for the second straight year. So yeah, they've got quite an impressive program over there evidently, so.
Good job, neighbors.
Anyhow, and then Coach Ecker with his, I believe it's his 400th victory recently for the basketball coach, so that's quite an accomplishment. So. Anybody else?
I remember when he was a student.
Yeah.
It's teaching him when he was a student.
Hell, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He had been a junior or senior when I started teaching.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of the counselors of all the different schools since we were celebrating them earlier this month. They're so fantastic. They do such a good job and so many complicated facets to that role that I don't envy. So thanks to them for doing it. And hey, you know what? You're here every month. Thank you for being here every month. Genuinely. Happy to do it.
And
So-
she contributes to our district by being a substitute.
As there today.
After observing teenagers in the ice and snow, we ought to thank the driver's ed teachers for tolerating and their bravery.
And they're very good teachers. I had 3 kids. Maybe 2 of my kids go through that program. They did a great job. How many kids do I have? Who knows?
I don't know. I think it's the 4.
I've got 4 somewhere. No.
So, okay.
Ditto.
Okay. Next meeting, agenda items, is there anything that somebody has to have on there besides the audit?
So should we do a safety committee update?
Yep.
Please.
Okay.
I'll find out from Kings Valley. Where they're at in terms of wanting to do a joint board meeting.
Well, I'm thinking it's getting late enough in the year
Mhm.
that maybe we could go out there, since it's gonna be daylight longer. You know, maybe even if we waited towards the end of the month or something.
Okay.
Try to get it out there so we can see their facilities.
Oh, one thing that came up in the work session last month that you weren't here for was, I did find out that if we're going out there only to tour their facility, it doesn't count as an official board meeting because it's a tour. So we would also be able to do that kind of outside of the norms of a meeting if we wanted. I thought that was neat. Because we wouldn't be making any decisions, we wouldn't be deliberating over anything, so we would
Yeah.
all be allowed to go out there as a board without having to have it recorded
Broadcast.
and broadcast.
Okay,
I was able to ask that specifically, at the training session for. public
Yeah.
meetings training. So-
well, I think it would be kind of the same as we've always done before, is have a sit down and a back and forth with them and how things are going and what they want from us, what we want from them or something. So it'd probably still have to be a meeting, you know, that's advertised and all that kind of stuff, but we would still have the advantage of being able to see their facilities while we were out there.
Well, and March is the time that they are supposed, well, it's February, that they're supposed to share their annual report with us.
Yeah,
And they asked that it moved
well,
to March.
maybe
So-
we can do that at the same time and
Yep.
just have their annual report given out there. Yeah, they're doing some things out there that are interesting and would be nice to look and see what's going on and see how things are progressing and whatnot, so.
And then our regular things like, the renewal, non-renewal.
Yep, we've
All
got
of
that
those sorts of
on there.
things will be on there.
Yeah, and our board meeting's early enough, we don't have to have a special meeting because it's on the 13th, I believe. So yeah, we'll have that.
We need an executive session because of that.
We'll need an executive session anyway,
Yeah.
because there's a couple of things that we
Okay.
need to be able to address.
Do we know yet if it's 6:30 or 6 o'clock start time then?
I don't know
To
that
be
yet,
determined,
To be determined, okay.
yeah.
We'll just.
but it's not gonna be earlier than 6.
No, I'll have to talk to Susan
Sure,
and
sure.
see what we want to do on that. Anybody else got anything? Any board requests?
Can I go back to Hawaii?
Sure, if you take me. All right, well, we're gonna adjourn the meeting then.
All right.
Yeah.